Section 98 is written to his brother Charles. Charles is going to go on a honeymoon vacation along the Rhine, one of the major rivers of Europe. And Tennyson and Hallam went on a vacation along in similar parts a few years earlier, back when Hallam was still alive. So, of course, his brother going there reminds Tennyson of his friend. He mentions three rivers in this poem, in this section, and I think it's interesting, and I wonder if there's some symbolism there. Probably one could find it if one looked enough, but the first river he mentions is the Rhine. The second river he mentions, line 8, on Lethe in the eyes of death, no livelier than the wisp that gleams on Lethe in the eyes of death. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm saying Lethe, but I have not studied Greek. Lethe in Greek mythology is the river that a shade or a spirit dunks in to forget everything that happened during their lifetime. And they would do this before they would go to be reincarnated. So it's a river of forgetfulness. When you pass through the river Lethe, you come out the other side not remembering anything that happened before. And then the third river is the Danube, and that is the river that passes by Vienna, where Hallam died. So when he says Danube here, he's referring to Vienna and his friend's death. He says here he has happy memories of the time traveling along the Rhine. He says, I will never go visit Vienna. For me, in my imagination, in my fancy, Vienna is an evil, haunted place where births and marriages are grief-stricken because of death, friend separated from friend, father from child. In line 17, the word gnar means snarl. 1,000 wants snarl at the heels of men. The hearths are cold. So he has this really dark impression of Vienna. And then in line 20, and yet myself have heard him, that's Hallam now, say, and then he reports what Hallam told him, that Vienna is one of the most wonderful cities in Europe. He describes streets filled with chariots, which I'm assuming are like carriages. The brown in line 24 is shade. So all these shade trees, thick, beautiful leaves and trees and parks, and all is gay with lamps and loud sport and song. So Hallam reports Vienna as this beautiful, delightful, wonderful European city. I imagine a park full of people just kind of strolling and enjoying the summer weather. And then there's this beautiful description at the very end of the section. Breaks the rocket molten into flakes of crimson or in emerald rain. That's a description of fireworks. One of the differences between poetry and poetry and prose is, in prose, you would just say fireworks. In poetry, Tennyson's trying to match a rhythm and a rhyme scheme. So he says, breaks the rocket molten into flakes of crimson or in emerald rain. And when you describe it that way, it makes you think about it. Think about this phenomenon in a new way. If you just say fireworks, you get this mental picture. We're done. We've agreed and we move on. But this description, it takes work to figure out what he's saying, but it stimulates you to think about it in a new way. This image of crimson or emerald rain. What a beautiful, delightful way to think about fireworks. Okay, section 98. You leave us, you will see the Rhine, and those fair hills I sailed below, when I was there with him, and go by summer belts of wheat and vine, to where he breathed his latest breath. That city, all her splendor seems no livelier than the wisp that gleams on Lethe in the eyes of death. Let her great Danube, rolling fair, enwind her isles, unmarked of me. I have not seen, I will not see, Vienna. Rather dream that there a treble darkness, evil haunts, the birth, the bridal. Friend from friend is oftener parted, fathers bend above more graves. 1,000 wants gnaw at the heels of men and prey. By each cold hearth and sadness flings her shadow on the blaze of kings. And yet myself have heard him say that not in any mother town, it's interesting that rather than saying not in any other town, he says not in any mother town. Not in any mother town, with statelier progress to and fro, the double tides of chariots flow, by park and suburb under brown of lustier leaves, nor more content, he told me, lives in any crowd, when all is gay with lamps and loud with sport and song in booth and tent, imperial halls or open plain, and wheels the circle dance and breaks the rocket molten into flakes of crimson or in emerald rain.